prospect in the morning. Willpower. Lance, expound on that.
Oh, well.
Stand up. There's a stool right there.
I'm Lance and I'm bold.
The thought that willpower, you know, I never even thought of willpower the way he explained it. It just didn't even cross my mind. It's just such a, you know, I don't know, but that willpower, you know, is the thought that willpower is always on call. It is a myth. It's a lie. You know, we all think that we have willpower on call. Well, it's a renewable energy, and if we don't charge it daily like we charge our cell phones, you know, we lose that battery life on our willpower, and when we lose that, then we are more susceptible to make not so good decisions, you know. And when is our, you know, our cell phones are usually, because we usually charge them at night, they charge over the night, and we grab them in the morning, and they have that full battery life. Well, same with our willpower. You know, if we've renewed it on a daily basis, in the mornings we're a lot less likely to make, you know, rash decisions or do things that are,
Or
you know,
respond maybe incorrectly, or you're short-tempered, or you're tired, or you just are frustrated, or
you know,
whatever. Life is shown up.
The analogy, you know, the thing that he shared about the parole, the prison inmates that were up for parole. And I don't have the chart, but he showed the chart of the different times during the day. Like if you were in the morning, and then the afternoon right after lunch, or right before lunch was it? And then right before, you know, close of business at 5. If you were one of the prison inmates up for parole and you lucked out to get the, you know, first couple of slots in the morning, you were pretty likely to get, you know, receive parole. However, if you were right up until right before going to lunch, those judges are like, it's
the number went, the graph went like this.
The graph just dropped dramatically because they were on a time crunch and wanted to get to lunch, so they just denied everybody, denied, get to lunch. And then right after lunch, you would notice that there would be a little spike, there'd be a little more, you know, a few more people were getting parole, but as the day went on and then closer to close of business, boom, it dropped. Huge come, you know, 5 o'clock.
Everybody would write that down, so the next time you guys are up for parole,
just
a little tip.
But what that was, and then he followed that up with the cupcakes, or I don't know, and vegetable, you know, carrots or something. And they had a group that was supposed to, they divided this group into halves, and they were supposed to memorize a 2-digit number as opposed to a 7-digit number or whatever it was. I don't remember. You know, like a telephone number. And those that were memorizing the telephone number were more likely, would gravitate towards choosing the unhealthy foods because they had spent their willpower, a lot of their energy in memorizing that number, and those that were just doing the 2-digit numbers would gravitate more towards eating the healthier foods. And so, like going home, if you're tired and you just say, I don't want to cook tonight, you go through the drive-through at the fast food restaurant and you get fast food. And so it's unhealthy for us, you know. And so it's being cognizant of, I've really been thinking about that. Am I doing the things that are right to be able to have my battery life, my willpower, you know, so that I can sustain it throughout the day and be very, very cognizant of who I give that willpower out to or spend my energy on.
Well, this is, anybody who's in coaching with me or has taken any class that I've taught in the last year has heard me preach about this. Your energy is the most valuable resource that you possess. And why is it the most valuable resource you possess? Because it doesn't renew automatically. You get a new 24 hours tomorrow. Every single one of us here has the same deal with God. We all get 24 hours tomorrow. You don't have to go create more time. You get it tomorrow. So time is not your most valuable energy, but we think it is. Your most valuable resource. Your most valuable, I think Gary just totally nailed it, drove it home with the willpower. Your most valuable resource you have is energy, because when it depletes, what do you have to do to get it back? Rest, exercise, eat healthy, get emotional energy from your family, love, physical affection, you know, caring.
I kept thinking back to your email that you sent out a couple months ago, to a few months about that.
Yeah.
And it was just, he just explained it in such a way that
Oh, it's such a great, well,
everybody
and so what I've hammered on with you guys is choose where you spend your energy wisely. Don't throw it, it's not pearls before swine. Don't throw it away. So when we walk in the morning and we throw our energy towards petty stuff, we're choosing to spend it on something that doesn't matter as opposed to choosing to spend it on your income driving activities or your one thing, right? And the way he talked about willpower was just awesome. So yes.
Monica Reynolds in her class took that kind of one step further. She said when she hires somebody, if they do not physically leave and take lunch, she will fire them.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
A perfect assistant should really hammers that if they have to at least have our work.
Okay, I saw Sean. Go ahead.
So what they did was the brain consumes 1/5 or 20% of your energy. If you think about, if you spend a lot of time worrying and stressing and fretting, your willpower will diminish really quickly. And if you can focus, on the 20%, which will produce 80% of your results, and that focusing on the 20% at the right time of the day produce so much more for you, which then allows you to feel more comfortable to spend time with your family and everything else. If you do the right things first, everything else falls into place.
Well, it just goes back to, living the small life so you can live a big life. And I was using this illustration with someone the other day. I mean, they gave a perfect example of this standing on stage in the form of Chris Heller. Chris Heller is the expired king. This guy built a $50+ million a year business doing one thing and one thing only every single day for 2 hours a day. What did he do? Those of you who know. Called expireds. That's it. All he did. Every day, he is a machine.
And with the most dry.
Yeah,
He has the personality of a brick wall. Okay? just calls. He's a machine. Just a machine. Yeah, he's announcing that we're opening in Vietnam, and he's like, we're opening in Vietnam. But so this guy did this over and over and over and over and over and over, day after day after day after day. He now has a highly functioning team led by Monica Reynolds in California, and guess what he's getting to do? Go take Keller Williams to other countries and be the president of global expansion. Why? Because he called expireds every single day. That's really why. He proved himself to be so consistent and steady and methodical. It was one thing he did, and he did it over and over and over. Liz and then Holly.
One quote that Gary said that I wrote down was, and he was kind of laughing, I can't even remember what class it was in, but he was like, you guys think I'm smart. He was like, I'm not the smartest person in the room, not hardly. He was, and you guys think I'm hardworking. I'm not hardworking when it comes to hours spent at work. I don't work half as hard as most of you. And he goes, what I can do is figure out the one thing, ask myself that focusing question, figure out the one thing that's going to give me the most results and focus on it longer than anybody else can.
Yeah, it was a great, I think that was in the special session when he said that. That was awesome.
So, I missed the Gary Keller speech, but from listening to everybody about everything, I figured out that my one thing is to stick to my schedule. Because if you're supporting, you're filling up your schedule to support the goals that you're wanting to achieve, includes work and family, everything. You're sticking to your schedule, you're going to be a happy person. So that was huge for me.
Yeah, awesome. Did anybody else appreciate the interruption graph?
Yeah.
That was a big deal. That was actually, if I had only one single action plan, I would take. If I had only one single action I would take, this would be it. So the interruption graph basically showed what it costs you to deal with an interruption.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? So there's the stop time that your brain stops, then there's the time to actually go deal with the interruption, then there's the re-engage time to get your brain back focused where it was supposed to be. Now you're back into productivity, then bam, another interruption. And does anybody remember the exact numbers? He said the average person has 11 interruptions. Was it a day or an hour?
An hour.
Lance, you're a researcher? Figure that out.
Lance research.
I thought it was 11 interruptions a day. And then he said, but that's an average person, that's not a realtor. We're more like 43.
Actually,
It may have been an hour.
you said that your brain jumps to a new thought about every 11 seconds. You need to put yourself back on track with it too.
So you have this stop and then interrupt, and then stop and then interrupt. So my takeaway from that was, how do I remove the interruptions? not for the whole day, right? That's unrealistic. Is there any way I'm going to remove interruptions for the entire day? No, of course not. But I can for 2 hours. I can from 9 to 11. So if you see a sign on my door that says don't interrupt me, that's my action plan. And that's what we've got to do. Like, how do we trade off providing great customer service for those that we serve and yet stay in our one thing as well? And again, I don't think you don't have to go overboard being extremist. You don't have to say, well, I'm not going to have any interruptions for the entire day. That's never, ever, ever going to be a reality. So we've got to get to where we can protect it for the little bit of time. You were first.
Well, it was just answering your question. I think, it comes down to scripts as far as everything, with all of our activities. You tell sellers that you're prospecting for other buyers or clients or people to find their house, to sell it to them.
You
They're
set
gonna
the
be happy that
expectation.
you put time aside to work on that.
You
for
use
them.
a script and you set the expectation to protect your
Exactly.
schedule. That's perfect. That's a great example.
It was one of the things Monica Reynolds talks about in Perfect Assistant, is when the assistant has a schedule. She said that most assistants say they can have 1 hour uninterrupted when the agent's not bugging them and they're not answering the phone. They could get so much more done. So she recommends for every assistant, have that 1 hour and say, let the phone go to voicemail. Have 1
Dad,
hour.
what did Sabra do? You guys got that?
Oh, we instituted time blocking, actually for everyone, even Ryan, and we just said it's 2 hours a day, and no one can interrupt her unless, it's really like if it's an emergency, obviously, but she has a little stop sign paper on the back of her chair that says, please don't interrupt, I'm time blocking, and we found that, really even Ryan needed it as a team leader, because you think, oh, that's what I'm here for, I should be answering my team's questions, but he was like, I need to be able to focus for a little while too. So,
yeah, every role from buyer's realtor to lead rep to transaction coordinator, there's no one, it's not like, who's
No
to say
one's
only
exempt.
certain purple? Yeah, no one's exempt. Everyone thinks it's a block, whatever it is they do.
Ben Keeney had a thing where you can ask him questions between 2 and 2:30 and 4 and 4:30. So you get 1 hour a day, but in half-hour increments twice a day. Any other time you don't ask him a question or come to him. It's that focused on their time that you want.
Yeah, if you got them, that'd be great.
I'm the researcher now, so
You can stick around.
basically, right before that, I think leading up to that,
None of this makes any sense.
none of that,
So you don't
I
have to
said pointed at, I'm like, what?
Listen, I just have to do something with my hand.
Juggling is an illusion. This is back to that multitasking. It's called task switching. Juggling is an illusion because what are they doing? When you're juggling 3 balls, it's 1 ball at a time.
You're switching.
But you're task switching, and so that's where this kind of goes into. And the research shows that for us, that when we're task switching, depending, it says there's a price for this. The cost in terms of extra time having to task switch depends on how complex or simple the tasks are. So if you're talking on your phone and walking, you could do both of them. You'd probably be okay.
Well,
And
But-
stays
but-
around.
You end up in the ladies' room.
But except if you're Jen, you'll end up in the men's room.
Even the most simple
But,
tasks. Sit down.
but if you're talking on your phone and you come to a rope bridge, you're probably gonna stop talking and focus on crossing that bridge.
Right.
So we can only do one thing at a time, it's task switching. But if those of us that call ourselves good multitaskers or think that multitasking is a thing, it says the cost in terms of extra time can range from time increases of 25% or less for simple tasks to well over 100% or more for very complicated tasks. Task switching exacts the cost you realize they're even paying. So, I mean, it's huge. And I see it in my business when today, Paul was talking to me. And I'm like focused on what I was doing. And Paul,
This always happens though. It's not just today.
because I've always been very focused. I mean, as far as when I'm doing something, I'm focused. And then my wife could tell you I don't even hear anything. I'm like, you could be in the room yelling at me and I won't even hear you. But it's
Just one. There's one bad ear.
I have one bad ear. It just depends on which side you're on.
Selective bad ears.
But,
Yeah, I got
but
it.
that's just it though, is we gotta set parameters so that we can really focus on our one thing. And the other times throughout the day, set times. I think what Saber's doing with you guys, that's great. Set times that you can all be very time blocked and very task oriented on what you need to do, but then have time throughout the day when other things can infiltrate. And
well, if you'll do it, if you'll block the time, you'll have the rest of the day to do whatever you need to do. That's the thing, you really have the right, you have from noon on to do whatever you need to do. Now that may mean you are cranking from noon on. Is there anything wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with just putting in major work from 12 to 5? No, 12 to 6. That's okay. Well, that's your control. I mean, that's within your control. There's nothing wrong with working hard afterwards, because if you're cleaning up the mess from all the results that you've driven because you've been so focused, nobody's going to be complaining about that.
The champagne problem.
It's a high-class problem, exactly. Nate, I saw a couple hands in the back. Yeah, Chuck.
One thing, everyone talks about the one thing, and I love it. Some people I heard are arguing the idea of it because you have to do so many things in real estate. But what he said at the end, I think that's sequential, not simultaneous. You can't have more than one thing. Your first thing might be lead gen, but then now the rest of my day from 12 on, and my next one thing might be whatever it is. And so you don't have to have just one thing. Like everything is not related, is not the same equal.
What do you think about the domino theory?
By the 57th domino, you resplit.
Isn't that brilliant? That first domino, which is your one thing that you have to push down, when it starts the momentum and what it takes to actually tackle this, what kind of power you can propel by starting with the right domino. It's amazing. That was a really great thing.
The other thing Gary made at the end of the speech was when Kevin Reading was over, his one thing is 2 days to do nothing. That's his one thing for 2 days. Yeah. So it's not always working.
Yeah. Well, just remember, it's the question. What is the one thing that if I do it, how does the question go, will make all others easier or unnecessary, right? So do the math backwards in your head and figure out what that is. What else? Off of the one thing for a second. What other ahas did you guys have? Even if it was an experience or a conversation, what did you take away from family reunion? Yeah, Christina.
I like Dave Ramsey. Amazing. I had heard his name, kind of knew what he was about. Never listened to his radio show, nothing. Sitting there up close and personal and seeing his eyelashes actually, and he's funny.
He was right. He was great live, yeah.
And it just, the finances part of it, and God, and it just all kind of came together in one piece. And I really loved his hiring strategies. In the end, his prospect is going to dinner with him and his wife, and then their significant other, just to break bread. How cool is that? Because you're really going to see them raw.
In their truest capacity, yeah.
And he is so right on. I thought I was being kind of creepy, but I don't want to deal with drama and all that crazy stuff. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, wow, is that really discriminating here? But he confirmed it.
He said I want to keep the crazy out.
Yeah. And then that one girlfriend called him to yell at him because.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you?
Oh my gosh.
I don't have to worry about it now.
I won't hire you. Yeah,
don't worry about it. We're done.
Exactly. Dave was phenomenal.
So then that brings me back to the class that you guys started during Bowl. Are we going to do Dave Ramsey's?
We'll do it again.
I don't know. That was just very cool.
We haven't talked about maybe starting it over again in March.
We haven't said it. No. Don't listen to that.
Mutiny.
What?
So I spend a lot of time with some different mega agents, and I think for me the biggest thing that I learned is like they're just normal people who have found a system that they're comfortable with and have just made that hyper focus. And how cool is it that you look at a company where they're like, let me help you do that, and let me help you do that. I've had so many people just offer to help me, and that when I help other people, like this guy put on my Facebook yesterday, I just got my first web lead, and just how all that is working. I didn't realize that before, and just how it's all there. But it's up to me to decide, like, I need to focus on this, and just to pick something, because I got really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
With all the things that were going on, and just hearing this little bit here, and this little bit here, and this little bit here, and coming back. And it's been a challenge for me this last couple days, trying to say, I'm gonna do this in this order.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, what's the sequential?
like how, I wanna do all 9 of these things, but how do I, you know, and just to focus and to time block, and it'll eventually get done, just have to get done today.
Yeah.
But as long as I stay focused like they were, and I make it about focusing on the system, then it'll be overcome.
Excellent. Before I go back to any repeaters, let me see if there's anybody that has it.
I was just gonna piggyback exactly what Katrina just said. I got a ton of value, not from like the real specialized breakouts, but the ones where it was like, okay, I can't even add up the GCI from these 3 people. Like it's just big. And so listening to them, and I'm expecting.
You must be on Nate's team.
Low blow.
But then it's like, I'm expecting like some sort of, like I got my pen ready, like some sort of thing that I have not heard before, I'm gonna like write it down, highlight it and circle it. And then it was like, this guy's talking about how he just practices every day. This chick is talking about how her system that she's had for 30 years. And she's like, that's it? I got the same book that they have. Like,
What's the difference?
Their instruction manual, they're just doing it, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
How? You just made me think, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
How many people were there for the first time this year? Okay, keep your hands up for a second. Okay, first timers. What, just throw it out there. Were you blown away? Were you drinking from a fire hydrant? Was your expectation higher than it delivered? What did you, okay, put your hands down. What did you get from it? Sorry.
I was overwhelmed. In fact, I skipped the last breakout session because I just knew that I couldn't go anymore. So, and I too was like mad. And for me, my one thing was obviously lead generating, but for me it was scripting. I mean, that became obvious when I sat in the breakouts how I could go scripting. And that's really what it all comes down to.
So y'all didn't get that at old.
Carrie, what did you think first time?
Agreed. Overwhelming.
Yes.
Absolutely overwhelming. Amazing.
You can't prepare, I mean, Allison and Joe and I, we try really hard to prepare you for what's coming, and yet we know that we can't. You kind of have to experience it. And it's really funny to walk around and watch you guys the first day and see you like this. And then we'll sit down to dinner or sit down, it's like, what are you thinking? People can't even put sentences together.
But you know,
that's day one.
I think this was my 4th one, and I got more out of this one because, and I didn't go to probably a single breakout session that dealt with selling. You know,
yeah, you focused on what you needed.
But I got more out of it.
Nate.
I think that since I've been in Keller Williams, I think that was my 4th one going to. I almost didn't go last year, and I always get kind of afraid of not going to. See, yeah, you should have cornered me. Yeah,
really
you're going. Yeah. 7 o'clock one night, you're going. But I think that the value really, I mean, the company I came from before was a very traditional, archaic, anti-technology, anti-systems. It was a great place to learn how to sell real estate. And I think that to a certain extent, when you go to these events, you really learn not much about real estate. You're learning a lot about real estate, but you're really learning what it takes to run any kind of business, not a real estate business, but any kind of business. I mean, this is something you could take to pretty much any kind of industry, and it's all about leverage. It's about it's just a different perspective about how to run a business. You know, from P&L instead of hiring people to the whole.
Well, he's talking to you. Yesterday, I had a conversation with one of our guests that went, and I said, "So, what was your?" You know, we met for about an hour and a half. I said, "What did you take away from it?" She said, which I wanted to say I've been saying to you last year. I'm so glad you got it, though. I'm just going to celebrate the fact that you got it. She said, "I realized that my real estate business was my job, and now I understand I own a business, and I never got it until today." She said, "I sold houses. I didn't own a business." now I understand I own a business and I'm the CEO of my own company and I've got to run it like a business, not just think about how many houses have we sold. And I thought, oh, thank you, Jesus. She showed up late to the party, but she showed up. So I'm just excited that she got that. This is exactly what you're talking about. I mean, we could take 1 million classes on how to negotiate, and those are absolutely appropriate and necessary. The idea with Family Reunion is to get you into running an effective business and then give you really solid tools that can help you do it. Yeah. Go ahead, Deb.
Oh, okay. Sorry. One thing on that was really, I can't, and I think it was Gary Keller, but it was somebody that I was listening to of the many things that said, what kind of time management, he asked somebody that was working for him, what kind of time management system do you use? And the person said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, how much did you make last year? And the guy said, whatever, $60,000, $100,000. He said, so you use the $60,000 time management system. And so he said, don't you want to use the $1 million time management system? And so basically they said, how you manage your time will directly influence how much you make. And I was like, oh,
that was a great
really good.
Joe, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, it was really cool because I'm sitting there walking with Melanie on the last day, and I can tell she's just like I was on my first trip when I ran into you and I go, I have to leave right now.
He literally walked out, we were standing there and he goes, I'm leaving.
I also had like 6 BPOs to do that. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm having a conversation with Melanie and the overwhelming message that I got and I was open to this year was go build it as big as you can possibly think and build it as fast as you can. That was what resonated with me. And I got that after the first day. So everything else was just bonus. I'm sitting there, we're walking and I'm having a conversation with her and I stop and I go, hey, I'm gonna do something I wanted to do, yet I haven't had the balls to do it up to this point, and I'm just gonna jump. And she's like, go for it. Well, walking towards me was a guy named Jason Abrams, who had just built a $50 million business off of working with professional athletes and entertainers. And I just came up to him and I started walking with him and we had a great conversation. I just got off the phone with him a little earlier.
You stalked him?
I stalked him a little bit. But it was really cool because there's a potential business venture that if I choose to, I can open that door down the road. Or if not, it was just cool to have a conversation with someone who's on a whole different level.
Well, I mean, you understand that the more you surround yourself with smart people, the better off you are, right? I love to be in a room where I'm the idiot in the room because you just, where that can take you and grow you, it happens a lot, but where that can take you and grow you is such an incredible journey, and to just open your mind up to getting in the way of those opportunities. Is Jason going to stop and talk to you? No. You got yourself in the way of him in a good way to make that happen. Okay, so what I want to kind of chat with you about is you have on your chairs your registration form for Family Reunion for next year. This is the most simple and easy way to take care of this now. It's a 10-month payment plan, correct? Okay, so you've got 3 options. Option number 1 includes Mega Camp, Mega Tech Camp, and Family Reunion, and they'll deduct $77.70 a month. Option number 2 takes care of Family Reunion for next year for basically $50 a month. Guys, you understand, like, we don't make any money off of this, okay? This isn't a money thing. I want you to go because I know what it does for your business. I know it, I get it. We're going to Phoenix next year. It's a direct flight. It's an easy shot down there. We have to win again. We now have to win. Can you imagine having not been in Dave Ramsey's lap, listening to him talk when we were there? I mean, it's such an incredible. And that Gary Keller session, guys, that was 5.5 hours. Now, 5.5 hours, I've taken a full day class before, but it's usually in a room like this where you're kind of interactive, so you pay attention. You're sitting in a room with 10,000 people for 5.5 hours. The fact that that man could hold that room for that long, I don't care how great the topic is, that's incredible. but being up front made it so much easier for you to get that. That's
Yeah, and if I can just say one thing about that, if anyone during any of the large sessions where we were up